Now,
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
6:06 on O'Connor and Company. Coming up at 7:05, Tom Fitton from Judicial Watch. 7:35, Bram Weinstein on the Commanders playoff game this weekend. Boy, there's a sentence you don't say very often. Actually, I don't think I've ever said that. Commanders playoff game. Redskins playoff game, we said quite a bit. 8:05, Virginia Attorney General Jason Miyares. And then at 8:35, Brett Baer, Fox News Channel. It's Larry O'Connor with Patrice Amuka. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning. Happy Friday, everyone. We made it.
We did. We made it. Charging into this weekend with snow still on the ground everywhere. We're also recovering from Washington, D.C., sort of locked into a standstill yesterday for the state funeral of the passing of a president of the United States, James Earl Carter, at the National Cathedral. The scene was historic, as you saw. Every living president and former president there assembled. That's kind of silly. There's only one living president at a time. And he was there. He was alive, Joe Biden. But then every former president still alive. Starting with Clinton now. You had your Clinton. You had your George W. Bush. You had your Barack Obama. And then, of course, you had that unique scene of a former president who is now the president-elect, Donald Trump, there. They were all there, all the first ladies, except for one, Michelle Obama. We'll get to that in a moment. And also all of the vice presidents were there, from Dan Quayle to Al Gore to Mike Pence to Joe Biden, of course, who was a vice president as well as a current president, except for one, Dick Cheney was not there. And it's funny, nobody really pointed that. Is odd, isn't it? At least, or if he was there, he was not sitting with his counterparts, with the other former vice presidents, which is kind of odd. I'm not sure about that. But beyond the historic nature of this, you also had the current Vice President, Kamala Harris, who, of course, just lost her bid to be the next president. And she was sitting there right in front of the man who beat her, the next president, Donald Trump. I mean, the confluence of contrasting and conflicting personalities and agendas, and it will make your head explode. Because then one of the other former first ladies who was there is also a woman who was defeated by Donald Trump because she attempted to be president. That would be Hillary Clinton. I mean, they were all there. In fact, Donald Trump, on his way to winning the election in 2016, defeated the brother of one of the former presidents, George W. Bush. He defeated Jeb Bush on his way to the White House. There was no love lost. Every single one of them had some sort of entanglement and had run against each other or family members or spouses, and it was ugly. But Donald Trump was one thing that none of the rest of them can ever say. He was sitting there as the next president of the United States, as well as a former president of the United States.
Well, that's true. I mean, several of them now can... I will just say several of them now can say that they have they have served 2 terms, and then you've got a lot of sore losers. The drama between them, I think the biggest, what everyone was really watching were just the handshakes and who decided not to shake whom's hands. And I think that's very telling about the sore wounds that still need to be nursed and maybe never will be repaired.
The word of the day was definitely awkward. The awkward moments between multiple. In fact, the warmest relationship appeared to be Barack Obama and Donald Trump, who were sitting next to each other. Barack there without his wife there had needed someone to talk to, and apparently the two of them had plenty to say. Barack Obama was chuckling. Well, and that's the thing, for the people who refuse to shake Donald Trump's hand, in a weird way, I have more respect for them. Here's Barack Obama yucking it up with Trump. A week before the election, he gave a speech saying that Donald Trump called white nationalists and Klansmen very fine people, of course a lie, saying that if he wins the election, he'd be a dictator on day one, a lie, saying that he would ruin our Constitution and we wouldn't have another democratic election in this country should Donald Trump win, that it would be the end of our nation, lies, lies, lies. And then here he is 2 months later, sitting next to the fascist Klansman racist who's going to ruin our country, and he's having a gale
and having
time.
a laugh. Well,
Yeah.
so what I actually take away is regular people who make the drama of these super elites their own personal drama and their own personal lives. They need to take a chill pill and realize, you know what, at the end of the day, these guys belong to a very elite club of which I will probably never belong to. And while politics is gets you riled up and angry and you're choosing sides, at the end of the day, the people, the top players, they still know how to get along and leave the field and shake hands afterwards. How can we, as regular folks, learn to take that message away as well?
No offense to you, Patrice. I think that you're fully capable of joining that club, but constitutionally, it's
I can't.
impossible.
No, I'm a naturalized citizen.
Not a naturally born citizen, yeah.
Yes.
All right, so of all the drama, and boy, I just laid out all of the between W. Bush and Trump and Obama and Hillary Clinton and Trump and Biden
Kamala
and Obama
Harris
and Kamala Harris and Obama. Set all of that drama aside.
Okay.
The real drama. Oh, and I forgot Al Gore and George W. Bush. The two of them were
Yes.
sitting behind each other.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, and Pence and Trump, and it's the overlaying soap opera drama is just too hard to unpack. But can I tell you something? The most dramatic moment, the chilliest moment, the frostiest moment, the Emma, what was the character's name from Frozen singing "Let It Go" as she builds the ice palace.
Yes.
And that moment belonged to the First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, and Vice President Kamala Harris. Hear how Jake Tapper gave the play-by-play as they sat down. And the way it worked out is that Kamala was sitting right next to Jill Biden. And, well, listen to Jake describe it.
Started the year as the would-be Democratic presidential nominee, and we all know what happened after that. Again, you didn't see a particularly warm greeting between the first couple and the second couple, but again, we are at a funeral, so one has to take that into account when trying to read the body language of the individuals there.
Does one, Jake? Does one have to take it into account? Well, not a warm greeting, but, we are at a funeral. Meanwhile, right behind them, Obama and Trump are yucking it up at a funeral. George W. Bush comes in and slaps Obama on the belly like they're old frat bros at a funeral. Everyone who liked each other was having pleasantries with each other, but Jake Tapper contorts himself like he's an acrobat on Cirque du Soleil's stage, saying, well, we can't read too much into this. We read a lot into it. The two wouldn't look at each other, Patrice. They hated the fact that they had to sit next to each other. You should have seen the looks on their faces as they were for it. Jill Biden hates Kamala Harris. That goes all the way back to the primary when Kamala accused Joe Biden of being a racist. And it has never died. Jill Biden hates Kamala Harris, and it was an amazing thing to watch.
What's awkward, though, is when the husband shakes the hand and the wife doesn't. So I'm literally watching the replay when President Trump and Melania Trump walk in and the Pences sit. First, Al Gore nods at Melania, and then he stands up and shakes President Trump's hand, and then former Vice President Pence stands up and shakes his former boss's hand, and his wife Karen Pence just stone-faced, doesn't do anything, doesn't greet Melania. Melania greets her. She doesn't even acknowledge Melania, doesn't acknowledge Trump, yet stands up and is smiling and bending over for the Bushes. It is so, like you could spend an entire hour just looking at all of the intrigue and just how they greeted each other,
Patrice,
and the back and forth.
That's exactly what I did. I watched them all, and I was spending over an hour looking at all of the interactions, but also commenting on CNN. In a moment, you'll hear CNN's explanation as to where Michelle Obama was, why she didn't include herself in this historic moment, and also some of the things that happened during this funeral at an Episcopalian Christian cathedral, the National Cathedral, that didn't feel very Christian-y to me. We'll get into
WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
Live
From the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
All right, first, listen to how CNN explained the missing Michelle Obama. Where's Michelle Obama? Somebody explain to us why Michelle Obama isn't there. Cut 2 here.
one person missing from this is Michelle Obama. I'm told by her advisors that she had a scheduling conflict. She's actually still in Hawaii from an extended holiday vacation, so she's missing there.
Okay, no, boy,
extended vacation.
Lot of, first of all, scheduling conflict. What? You're out raising money for an orphanage? What? I'm sorry. The scheduling conflict is she wanted to spend more time on the beach with Oprah in Hawaii on an extended holiday, not just an extended holiday. And by the way, she's vacationing without her husband. I thought these two were lovebirds. I thought they were the happiest, warmest, most ideal American couple. What American couple goes on vacations separately and not at the same time? Or was Obama at the vacation in Hawaii? Well, the Clintons, yeah. Or Barack Obama was at the vacation in Hawaii as well. He made it there, but she decided, oh, screw it, I don't want to be any part of that. She's always hated the pageantry that goes along with the presidency. That's why everybody who said, oh, Michelle Obama's going to run for president. No way. She hates this stuff. She hates the presidency. I would venture to say she doesn't have a fondness for the country. But there she was. She had an extended holiday, Patrice. Isn't that amazing?
Well, listen. I get it. She's just tired of all of these people. She's probably tired of the of the ridiculous politics that are played here. When you see the Clintons ignoring Kamala Harris and ignoring the Obamas, she's like, I don't want to be snubbed, so I'm gonna give the biggest snub, which is not even to show up at all, rather than to show up with and be a sourpuss and have a sour look on my face. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, she didn't want to pretend and put a smile on, which I guess is
but,
fine.
But you know what? But at the end, I think she's wrong for that, Larry. I actually think she's wrong. I think she had a responsibility. If she says when they go low, we go high, right? So go high, have some self-esteem and some decorum, set an example, show up there, learn how to put politics aside for a minute and put your past wounds aside. You can hate each other at the end. Leave the hate outside of the church doors. Pick it up on your way back out if you so please. But come on, at least show up there and be a part. And for those who were there, take your sourpuss and leave it outside the door too.
Also, all the trappings you get when you're 8 years as First Lady and you get to fly around the world and get all that security and get your own plane and get all of the trappings and it's all a taxpayer expense. This is part of the deal, okay? You knew this going in. It means post-presidency, you have ceremonial duties as First Lady. She writes these books and they sell millions and millions of copies and she gets rich. You think that's because you're such a great writer? No, it's because you're a former First Lady and you were able to build your brand and build your profile for 8 years on our dime. So now at ceremonial things, you show up. I don't care if it's uncomfortable for you. Meanwhile, Patrice, have you ever thought about what your funeral will be like? Who you want to speak, what the music might be like? You're young. You don't think about these things. Well, Jimmy Carter had a lot of years to think about it. He died at 100, God bless him.
Wow.
And so one of the things he requested was Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood to sing at the funeral, at the cathedral, right there in front of Jesus and everybody. And here's the song that Jimmy Carter wanted sung.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try.
All right, you're sitting in a cathedral whose architecture is specifically designed to train your eyes and your consciousness on heaven. Everything in a cathedral is designed to lift yourself upward and to think about heaven and God and religion and Jesus. Lyrics like, imagine there's no heaven, it's easy if you try, no hell below us, above us only sky, imagine all the people living for today. This is in a cathedral, and this is the song he wanted.
He probably didn't put two and two together. Like, he thought, I love the song, and I love the cathedral.
Oh, no.
Probably never considered
sorry,
that.
Patrice. No grace here. No. No. He knew exactly
what it is. You think it's intentional?
He was president of the United States, and the lyrics say, imagine there's no countries, nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. He ran as a Baptist, by the way. Famously, He was like, I'm a Southern Baptist, and that's how he got the Southern vote against Jerry Ford. And meanwhile, he's doing this in an Episcopalian church, the National Cathedral, and there's no real mention of Jesus Christ or the Lord, the only mention of heaven and religion was in this song by John Lennon saying, imagine we don't have any religion. Isn't that a wonderful thing? Maybe I'm a purist here, but Jimmy Carter was a bit of a lefty, shall we say. Meanwhile, Joe, you want to hear some of Joe Biden's eulogy? I mean,
Let's hear it. Classic Joe.
Okay. Here's cut 4, where Joe Biden makes it about him and his dad.
You know, we have an obligation to give hate no safe harbor and to stand up to what my dad used to say is the greatest sin of all, the abuse of power.
What does this have to do in any way whatsoever with Jimmy Carter? Honestly.
Was that Jimmy Carter's legacy? What was he fighting for? And
that was Joe Biden.
But it's the irony of it coming out of Joe Biden's lips. Abuse of power? I mean, the irony. I'm just going to leave it at that.
To say the least. A little bit more cut 5, Joe Biden eulogizing his friend and mentor, Jimmy Carter, which, by the way, I love that they kept saying he was Joe Biden's mentor. Well, you know, he did have a Carter-like presidency, so I guess that makes sense.
Jimmy Carter did justly, loved mercy, walked humbly. May God bless a great American and a dear friend and a good man. May he be raised up on eagle's wings and bear you on the breath of dawn and make you to shine like the sun and hold you in the palm of his hand. God bless you, Jimmy Carter.
I'm sorry, all those biblical references to
Yes.
rising up on eagle's wings and be held in God's hands, that's all heaven imagery. And I've just been told by Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood and John
is no
Lennon that I
heaven.
should
That's what they
imagine
say.
there is no heaven. So I'm very confused about all of this, to tell you the truth. Yeah, the funeral is over. We can now get on with the inauguration of Donald Trump.
Now,
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
6:37 this Friday on O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in here. Coming up at 7:05, Tom Fitton will join us from Judicial Watch. 7:35, Bram Weinstein on the Commanders playoff game. 8:05, Virginia Attorney General Jason Miyares. And then at 8:35, Brett Baer from Fox News Channel. My name's Larry O'Connor. That's the O'Connor part. And that's Patrice Onwuka, and she's keeping me company there on the company part. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning, Larry. Happy Friday, everyone.
Well done indeed. So listen, I've gotten the memo from all of my betters, the people who are just better than me, period, in the media. You know, the people with journalism degrees, and also from Democrats like Gavin Newsom. They said that we're not allowed to politicize or make any negative commentary or analysis about the job performance of the governor, Gavin Newsom, the Democrats in Sacramento, the county supervisors in Los Angeles, the mayor, all that stuff. You know, stop talking about how the mayor was in Ghana when all of this has happened, okay? Just put it out of your mind. So let's do that. You know what, Patrice? I'm just going to report the information. You know, maybe you have different rules. Maybe you might be under different rules than I am, but I'm told I'm not allowed to do any of that. So let's set that aside. Let's just report information. A lot of people wondering, okay, so the mayor of Los Angeles is in Ghana when the fires are raging. But what about the deputy mayor? You know, you always have to have a number two in charge, right?
Where's
the deputy mayor?
Fill the shoes. Okay.
That's right. Well, let's tell you where the deputy mayor is. Here's a news report from L.A. just 3 weeks ago.
Shocking allegations revealed today against a deputy mayor in the city of Los Angeles. The LAPD has identified Brian Williams as the likely source of a bomb threat against Los Angeles City Hall.
Williams is the deputy mayor in charge of overseeing public safety, including the LAPD. KTLA's Mary Beth McDade is live in Pasadena.
Yeah, also public safety, I think, involves the fire department as well. That would be LA Deputy Mayor Brian Williams. He is currently on leave, suspended because the FBI is investigating him for allegedly making bomb threats against City Hall.
You can't make this up. You're saying the mayor is running around Ghana and Africa having the best time of her life. The deputy mayor he hasn't been arrested, at least. Maybe that's the bright spot, but he's no longer in a position to be filling the shoes of the mayor because he may have made a bomb threat against his own office. What's wrong with these people? What's wrong with these people?
I'm merely reporting the news here. I don't want to politicize anything. I'll just deliver the information so everybody can hear. In fact, let's turn, because much has been made about the LA Fire Department chief of police, that Every public utterance of her for the last year or so has nothing to do with public safety, preparedness, the number of firefighters that she's recruiting or having trouble recruiting. No, it's all about the fact that she's a white woman, LGBTQIA++, which, all of those letters don't spell fire hose, sadly, or water, but that's okay. She was iconic, and she was talking about how, the big problem with the LAFD is not the budget, not the staffing, not the water shortage. The big problem is that there are too many white men putting out the fires. So, all right, again, set her aside. Don't want to politicize her. Let's look at her assistant. What's her assistant like? Well, her assistant is Los Angeles Fire Department Assistant Chief Christine Larson, who, for the purposes of this report, I must tell you, is a black woman. And she put out a video earlier this year about trying to recruit more people like her to the fire department, because it's very important that the person who saves you from the fire apparently looks like you or something. Here, listen to what she had to say.
You want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit more ease, knowing that somebody might understand their situation better. Is she strong enough to do this? Or, you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
What?
Oh,
how
my
insulting!
Lord.
How are you going to tell someone that, as a firefighter, if you shouldn't have gotten yourself into the fire? You are fire shaming victims. You are literally fire shaming them. That is asinine. How could the deputy fire department chief say this?
Rather insulting.
Enough to do this, or, you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
So she shows up as your home is a blazing inferno, and you say, please help me, my husband's in there, someone's got to carry him out. Are you strong enough to carry out my husband? Listen, if your husband's in that burning building, he got himself into a place he shouldn't have been. You're a firefighter, for God's sake. That's what we get Matt Foldy. Matt Foldy's a volunteer fireman. I want to know if this is how firemen are supposed to handle these things. Oh, wait, I'm not supposed to politicize this. I'm just delivering the facts. I'm so sorry. Okay, the facts are that this woman, Christine Larson, speaking on behalf of Los Angeles Fire Department, apparently the official word from the LAFD is that all of those people's whose homes are burning down to the ground in ashes all across the city, the main priority is that the person who shows up to put out the fire looks like you, so that you feel more comfortable knowing that someone who looks like you is putting out the fire. And if you're worried that it's a 5'2", 98-pound woman and they won't be able to carry your 220-pound husband out of the burning building, well, honestly, it's his fault for being in that building while it was burning in the first place. That's the official word from the Los Angeles Fire Department. Just delivering the news, not politicizing it, Patrice.
Well,
I'll let you politicize it.
I will absolutely politicize it. I'm going to say, no, actually, this is not about politics. This is about ideology and the diversity, equity, and inclusion ideology that's been going around for years now, but in particularly over the past 4 years in 2020, we have seen this rush that society must be representative in every single way, and a person of color has to be in every position of power everywhere you go, regardless of whether they are mission focused. I'm not even going to talk about their qualifications. I'm going to talk about whether they're mission focused. And these are great examples of people who are in positions of power because of their skin or their gender, and not because of their focus on the mission of the organization that they represent.
Thank you. Well, I would just like to go on the record to let the people know in the county and city that I live in and in the District of Columbia where I work, that if I'm in a burning building, I really don't care what you look like. I don't care what's between your legs. I don't care the color of your skin. I don't care what your ethnicity is. Get in here and get me out. And make sure you're physically capable of doing that. And I think I speak for most people. One other thing, so Kamala Harris she's doing her part. Kamala Harris, the vice president, who is from California, she is pitching in and helping. As vice president, she has put out a statement. Officially, she is canceling her trip to Singapore, Bahrain, and Germany that she was going to take on the final week as vice president. Instead of, packing up her house and moving out of her office to make way for J.D. Vance, she was going to go to Singapore, Bahrain, and Germany, but she's announced that she is canceling that trip. in lieu of the fires in Los Angeles. And thank God, you know, that some heroes don't wear capes, and Kamala Harris is one of them. It's 6:45.
Taxpayers at least saved a couple of pennies.
We saw an apartment building engulfed in flames. I saw the fire engine pull up this afternoon. A fire captain have one of his firefighters attach a hose to a hydrant, and that hose didn't fill up, Alex. And I asked the captain, out of every 10 hydrants you attach to today, on average, how many are you getting full water from? He says little to none. And it was at that point that really the whole crew stopped, looked up at this apartment building, and they realized there was nothing they could do.
That's MSNBC reporting earlier in the week out of Los Angeles, the phenomenon that the fire hydrants had no water. Yesterday, the mayor, Karen Bass, addressed this issue, and everyone wants to know, why didn't the hydrants have water? Here's Cut 11. Here's the explanation.
How are we addressing these water problems that are continuing, and is it acceptable that they continue?
Well, let me just say that the water problems are a little better now because the winds are such that we can go up and have the air support. And you know that that was the reason that the devastation was so bad, the unprecedented wind, the strength of the wind, and the fact that the air support could not go up.
Okay, so...
Wait, what?
Yeah. So the unprecedented wind, which is not unprecedented because Santa Ana winds is kind of a regional phenomenon and seasonally every year, but let's set that aside for a moment. The wind made the fires spread faster, and the wind also kept the small aircraft from being able to fly up and give the air support with water drops. And that is a problem because it's incredibly unsafe to fly in winds like that. So how does that affect the water pressure in the hydrants? Because
it shouldn't.
I wouldn't think that it did. I guess, if I'm, again, trying to contort my brain to Democrat LA Mayor Karen Bass's position here, maybe she's saying that since we didn't have the air support, the only water we could put on these fires was from the hydrants, and because that's where all the concentration was, the hydrants lost pressure because there wasn't enough water in the reservoirs. But of course, there's not enough water in the reservoirs because the Democrats in the state of California diverted all of the water from the mountains to the ocean instead of holding them in reservoirs. So, and also, and then there's this official notice. This is dated December 24th, 2024, a month ago. In consideration of the department's current operational and fiscal challenges, the annual hydrant testing scheduled for the beginning of this year will be temporarily suspended. So they were on schedule to test all these fire hydrants right before the fires began, but they had to suspend that because of their budget constraints.
So if they,
but I don't know what that has to do with the wind.
If they had done the testing, then they would have recognized that potentially the fire hydrants did not have enough pressure, could not deliver an adequate water to put out the fires. I mean, again, another example of a failure on the part of this fire department and leadership here.
Not just, there's more examples. Cut 13, listen to and God bless this reporter. Local reporters are always the best in LA. Cut 13.
Mayor, LA County is in a panic state. It began 2 days ago with the Palisades fire. My crew and I arrived shortly after it started, and for several hours we watched as hundreds of homes in a neighborhood burned to the ground. We did not see a single fire engine. We watched as Good Samaritans guided traffic. There was fear and there was a lot of confusion. You were out of the country at the time. Shortly after the fire started, a press release was put out warning of this fire behavior. My question to you is, what explains this lack of preparation and rapid response?
Let me just say, first and foremost, my number one focus, and I think the focus of all of us here with one voice, is that we have to protect lives, we have to save lives, and we have to save homes. Rest assured that when rest assured, let me finish. Rest assured, when that is done, when we are safe, when lives have been saved and homes have been saved, we will absolutely do an evaluation to look at what worked, what didn't work,
pathetic.
and to correct
we'll address
or
all.
to hold accountable.
Jeff, can you stop it? Jeff, thank you. Yeah, we'll address all of these things weeks from now when no one's paying attention again. But you ask me questions right now, simple questions like this, and I'm just going to put it off because our focus is saving lives. By the way, the death count now is up to 10, 654.